Hello, Dave.
Hello, Matt. How are you doing?
All right. Move things that fell as I was plugging the phone in. All right. I'm ready if you're ready.
Okay. All right. Okay, starting with, you know what they say, April questions bring May the answers. Yeah.
I was particularly proud of that horrible gag.
I liked it. It's got a certain lilt to it. Do you want to do the next part, or do you want me to do the next part?
I printed out all 18 pages so I can do the next part.
Okay. You do the next part.
Last time on Please Hold for Dave Sim, Dodger found out about Elise's affair with Trevor, but hasn't let on that he knows, so as to lull her into a false sense of security until after the big chili cook-off. Jen discovered that the ancient Piggott dagger she won at the charity auction was a fake, and the real dagger was swapped out by Kristen, who, unbeknownst to Jen, needs the dagger to trade for Margaret's life. Meanwhile, it turns out that it's not really Margaret that's being ransomed by Philip Fry's evil twin, but actually Margaret's semi-evil twin, who was separated from Margaret's family at birth and raised by circus clowns. The real Margaret is on her way to the airport to stop Glenn and Glenda from eloping to Paris. As it turns out, they're actually first cousins, and that would be gross. But in reality, it turned out that...
Hold on. At this point, I have to go. Gasp! Okay.
But in reality, it turned out that the genetic testing results were forged by Cecilia to try to pay off the debt she owes James Banderas Smith that he's been threatening her with for like 3 seasons at this point, and Glenn and Glenda could totally get married without producing aberrations, the likes of which haven't been seen outside the freak show Margaret's semi-evil twin grew up downwind of. And all this while Lee Thacker prepares to break the world record for fastest land speed on a tricycle. But before any of this could be resolved, Michael R. burst in from Easton, Pennsylvania with an urgent message about Dave Sim's collected letters, and we ended on that cliffhanger. So what the heck is going on, Dave?
Well, it wasn't that much of a cliffhanger, but it's definitely a cliffhanger. Okay, so moving over to Michael R.'s Sunday, February 4th, 2024, digital collected letters fax. Hi, Dave. Enclosed is the physical check for the digital copy of Collected Letters 2023. Thank you very much for that, Michael. I was and I am still digging around in my digital stuff and found your first Kickstarter, Cerebus High Society Special Audio-Visual Digital Edition, PDFs of all 25 comics, and found not only the Albatross 1 notebook, but the first 5 notebooks, linked, I believe, to the High Society comics. Let me just interrupt to say, that wasn't the first Kickstarter. That was IDW. I don't know if IDW did a Kickstarter with them, but High Society Special Audio Digital, which is an amazing package. There's just absolutely no question about it. That was published by IDW.
But wait.
Go ahead.
Before it was published by IDW, it was a Kickstarter where you got digital copies of everything.
Oh, was it?
That was the first Kickstarter. Because I know, because I have it, and every now and then I find the folder with all the files and go, oh yeah, I have this. And then I go back to taking my 17th Printing High Society and chopping it up into 6-page bits to put on as 6 images on the blog.
Completely unnecessary.
Well, I started it 5 years ago, and I'm only on page 463.
Room for improvement there. Okay, I stand corrected. Where were we here? Here's my Michael R. goes on, here's my dilemma or your solution. You really went to town with all the extras that came with the Cerebus High Society special audio-visual digital edition. Bonus materials. You included the letters from retailers. There's invoices, sketches, and drawings from you and others, plus the ballpoint pen sketches from the Kickstarter backers. But what made it all worthwhile is that you comment in the notebooks. Wow. And he goes on, what if you create, or Studio Comics, a Master Deluxe Albatross one with all the other notebooks that came with High Society digital versions into a hardcover and a slipcase to match my High Society remastered hardcover with the slipcase. As much as that cool factor that Rob Snell got maybe the one and only near perfect replica of the Albatross One notebook, how cool would it be to have the whole remastered High Society shebang in a hardcover with a slipcase? This is one of the great punchlines of all time. I know I couldn't afford it, but would consider making payments on it. It would be awesome, all caps, next to my 16 volumes of all various phone books. Plus, I could actually hold it in my hand instead of fussing with whatever device I am holding at the moment to view or read it. If ever I would use Swordfish for personal gain, this would be it. Sorry, Rob Snell. I hope I spelled his name right. Okay, that's a little bit dated because, yes, Rob Snell did get the first one, but there's been 9 more since then, maybe 10 more. I think we're up to 11 orders on the Albatross notebooks. Anybody who sent in a check for $100, I haven't cashed the checks because I wanted to make sure that the books, the Albatrosses, actually went out to the people and were likely actually arriving before I actually cashed the checks. So if you're wondering why your bank account doesn't balance because it's $100 short, it's Dave hasn't cashed the check yet, but I think that's going to be next Thursday. Okay, this is in a nutshell, Michael. This is the situation that I'm in with having just a little under 100 financial backers left, where something that sounds absolutely perfect to you. This is something that Michael R. would definitely buy, even if he couldn't afford it, and he would make payments on it, which is very, very generous of you to, let's say, let's just go crazy and say it's a $400 book and you could pay it in $50 monthly installments or something like that. The problem becomes it's not really possible or feasible for me to put in time putting something like that together that you think is really cool and maybe 2 other people think is really cool, but that's it. So that even if, I did the payment plan thing, we would still be looking at maximum revenue of $1,200 and probably cost to produce of $600. And as limited as my options are of ways to make money right now, there are much easier ways for me to make $600 US. So that's in a nutshell. Then Michael wrote, or somehow included in the Dagan James 1982 Cerebus Tour Kickstarter. Hey, when is that coming out, by the way? There might be others who might want it as well. It might really decrease the price of something that a few might actually want. Situation with the Cerebus 1982 tour book is pretty much the same. Dagan told me at one point that as far as he's concerned, it's almost done. Needed some more work done on it. I said, okay, have Studio Comics Press print out a copy, and I'll take a look at it, and I'll take a turn putting stuff together on it, and then back over to you. One of the problems is the photographs from the 1982 tour. Everything is done on the Service Archive photos finally, except for the 1982 tour, because it's one big photo album, and all of the photos were put in order in the photo album from the beginning of the tour through to the end of the tour, immediately after the tour. And then I had whoever was working here at the time type up my tour diary and then produce that as text for a comic book sized publication. And then took those blocks of text and took photos out of the album anytime that I came to a part in the text where I went, okay, I've got a picture of that, so that picture should go in here. And Dagan got that. Dagan got the printed text with the photographs inserted. But the situation, as it stands, is all of those photographs were taken out, obviously from specific places, and consequently, I'm kind of loath to just turn over the photo album to Rolly. I'll have to give him special instructions on it and say, when you pull the photograph out, make sure that it goes back into the exact block that it came out of, and if there's a blank protector in the photo album, mark that as being this was between this photo and that photo, which means Dagan would be able to cross-reference that and say, okay, these are the photos that I haven't seen before. Now I've got them. These are the photos that I have pasted up with the text. So it's like a jigsaw puzzle. So I really don't want to mess that up, because I really don't want to try and reconstruct the 1982 tour from memory 42 years later. So that's where the tour book stands. It's definitely in the category of I think it is a Waverly Press book, because it's probably not going to make very much money. It's not going to sell very many copies. Each of the copies will cost way too much to produce. But it is something that I'm personally interested in, personally invested in. It was certainly the high point of Denny's and my marriage. From my perspective, marriage coming to an end, before the end of the following year. So it's, I think it's a valuable document in that sense, and it's got a lot of cool stuff in it. But it's still in raw form. So it's if it is a Kickstarter, believe me, it's not the next Kickstarter, and it's probably not the next Kickstarter after that, or the next Kickstarter after that. Okay. So
David sent me a digital files of all the photos that he's got, and I will send a copy of that to Rolly when you finally get a laptop, so that you'll have, these are the photos Dagan definitely has.
I'm not going to be participating on that side of it. It's we're definitely trying to limit Grandpa's participation to what Grandpa actually has to do. That was what happened with the photo archive. That was a sword of Damocles hanging over my head from the time I started putting the archive together, which is 20 years ago now, when Cerebus came to an end. There's a bunch of photographs in here that probably 30% of them, 40% of them, I'm the only person who knows what's in those photographs. So the priority wasn't me having access to the photographs. It's the same as now that it's going over to Rolly, and he's scanning all of them and sending copies of every photograph in the Cerebus archive to you. You'll have all of them for Please Hold for Dave Sim or wherever you might use them. I'll have the physical copies in stay flats, the comic book size stay flats, and separated year by year. This is getting into answering another question, but separated into year by year, which is already working really, really well in terms of they're all just in ordinary business envelopes right now. But I'm doing the notes for Can 11, and I needed the picture of me and Eddie Campbell out front of Comics Plus in Australia, with a great poster advertising the appearance. And that's 1994. That's February 1994. I know that because I just went through all of the photographs. So I just had to go through all the 1994 envelopes and peek inside each one of them. And there it is, which is a big improvement on the giant Canada Post shipping box that had all of the photographs in it. And anytime I had to look for one, I had to go basically through the whole box going, well, it's in here somewhere because it is a photograph, but I'm not going to find it in 5 minutes.
Okay.